Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. Once again, a vast difference of opinion emerging from the presidential impeachment hearings today.
3 constitutional scholars told lawmakers they believe there is enough evidence to impeach the president for abusing his power and risking national security for his own benefit. But another called the case thin.
Well, today's proceedings marked only the 4th time in American history that an attempt to impeach a president has gotten this far in Congress.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand has the latest.
Mr. President, any reaction to the impeachment hearing?
President Trump arrived home from the NATO summit late Wednesday after the day-long impeachment hearing on Capitol Hill. The House Judiciary Committee spent the day questioning 4 law professors about whether the president committed an impeachable offense in his dealings with Ukraine. The 3 legal experts called by Democrats said he did.
Based on that evidence and those findings, the president did commit an impeachable abuse of office.
Same answer.
We 3 are unanimous.
Jonathan Turley, a CBS News contributor, was the only witness for the Republicans.
You want to build an impeachment? You have to have a foundation broad enough to support it. This is the narrowest impeachment in history.
During the hearing, Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler brought up not only the president's conduct with Ukraine, but what he called a pattern of behavior, even referencing the 2016 election.
Tonight, he called the facts overwhelming.
The president committed impeachable offenses. They threaten the survival of democracy itself and the integrity of free elections.
The majority right now, frankly, is lost. They don't know which way to go because the facts are not in their favor and the American people are not on their side.
Republicans also criticized one of the Democratic witnesses' attempts at humor involving the president's son.
While the president can name his son Barron, he can't make him a baron.
That does not lend credibility to your argument. It makes you look mean.
Professor Pamela Karlan later apologized.
It was wrong of me to do that.
The House Majority Leader Wednesday indicated a vote on impeachment could still happen by the end of the year if the House Judiciary Committee moves forward with recommendations within that time frame. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Key White House advisors strategized with Senate Republicans and said if the House votes to impeach, they want a full trial with witnesses in the Senate.
Well, as you saw, President Trump is back in Washington tonight following the NATO summit in London and a few tense moments with fellow world leaders. The president abruptly canceled the news conference and left the summit early after a hot mic moment where Canadian Prime Minister and other U.S. allies were caught on camera laughing at his expense. Trump responded to the gossip, calling Trudeau two-faced. Despite a summit sometimes filled with more spitefulness than substance, the president called those talks successful. And details are still coming in following an active shooter situation at the Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard in Hawaii. Officials say that a Navy sailor is reported to have opened fire on 3 Department of Defense civilian workers. CBS reporting that 2 people are dead. A witness said he saw the gunman, who appeared to be in a sailor uniform, then kill himself. No information known about a motive in the shooting. The base was placed on lockdown for several hours, but has since reopened.
Governor Steve Bullock talked to reporters this morning for the first time since ending his presidential campaign. The Democratic governor says the last 6 months have been an incredible experience, but it became clear to him that he wasn't making much headway in a crowded field. The most recent poll in Iowa had Bullock at less than 1%. Now, Bullock also reiterated he is not running for the U.S. Senate in Montana, but said he expects to be campaigning for Democrats both in state and perhaps nationwide.
I don't know that there was that one moment or epiphany where I said this isn't going to happen. You can look at any number of reasons why in a crowded field I didn't break through, but at the end of the day I didn't. So it made sense to me to get out now.
And he says in his last year as governor, he'll be working on natural resource, education, and healthcare initiatives.
In less than a week, Major League Baseball owners and executives will talk about a proposal that could eliminate more than 40 minor league baseball teams and bring an end to the Pioneer League as we know it here in Montana.
Now more members of Congress are getting involved, organizing a Save Minor League Baseball task force in hopes the plan can be stopped before it's too late.
Q2's David J. talked to the owner of the Billings Mustangs this afternoon to get his reaction. David, what do you have to say?
Oh, Russ, Jeanelle, Dave Heller says it's imperative to have the support of Congress, and he met with several members of the Senate, including Senators John Tester and Steve Daines today. Heller also likes the Save Minor League Baseball Task Force and says it is bipartisan and The House heard from minor league baseball's president and owners at its inaugural meeting. The task force will advocate for the 42 communities that could lose teams under the Major League Baseball proposal. Heller says the minor league baseball issue has brought together all political parties and those in the bigger and smaller baseball markets. He talked about the importance of backing coming from Congressman Greg Gianforte and the senators.
I think it's life or death for the Billings Mustangs. Without it, we run the very real risk of being wiped out by Major League Baseball. What I really like more than anything is the bipartisan spirit. And it's really nice to be able to see our congressmen working together, as we sort of hope they would, to do what's best for the country and not what's best for any one political party.
And Dave Heller expects the Senate to propose its version of the task force. Major League and minor league negotiators will meet starting on Friday in San Diego to work out a new professional baseball agreement. Jeanelle, Russ.
All right, thanks, David. Both Tester and Republican U.S. Senator Steve Daines commented today publicly, both in support of keeping minor league baseball here in Montana.
All right, let's turn to the weather. Q2 meteorologist Ed McIntosh in tonight. And Ed, people across our region could be waking up to some slick streets.
That's right, especially from Billings towards the north. We'll take a look at the latest computer analysis. And this is the overnight into early tomorrow. And the blue shaded areas show where we have some potential for rain or snow. We don't expect that entire area to actually be blanketed, but that's right nudging in close to the Billings area during the morning hours around Hardin, Forsyth, Miles City, north to around Roundup. So those areas could see some showers early and then start to disappear later on. The slight risk of freezing drizzle, though, is what gets our attention, since just a little bit can really affect the roadways. So slow down, don't use your cruise control if you run into those slick areas, and leave plenty of distance between you and other vehicles. More details on the forecast coming up.
All right, thanks, Ed. Well, the State Public Service Commission has approved contract terms and price factors for what could be a groundbreaking renewable power project in south central Montana. But it's not yet clear whether the project would actually go forward under these terms. MTN's Mike Dennison explains.
The PSC voted Tuesday on the pricing terms for the Beaver Creek project, a proposed 120 megawatt wind farm north of Columbus. And the project also has something new for wind farms in Montana: batteries that can store wind-generated power and make it available when needed.
I am, frankly, really excited about this project. It is the first hybrid QF project to be approved by any public service commission, utility commission in the country.
The PSC set the terms because Beaver Creek and Northwestern Energy couldn't agree on multiple elements of a contract. The Commission adopted most of the terms requested by Northwestern, which would acquire the power for its Montana customers. The terms include a provision saying if Beaver Creek produces power beyond what Northwestern needs on its system at a given point, Beaver Creek essentially won't be paid for that power. Koopman said the Commission wanted to be conservative to protect consumers from paying too much.
We want to be, ever mindful that our responsibility as a commission, yes, is to encourage projects like this, and is also to, as much as we possibly can, assure to the ratepayer that they are getting fair, reasonable, affordable rates and reliable energy.
The developers of Beaver Creek told MTN News they're waiting to see a final written order before commenting. But if they can't make a profit based on terms approved by the PSC, they basically have two options: walking away from the project or taking the PSC to court. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. And federal and state laws outline how renewable power projects like Beaver Creek should be priced for utilities.
Billings' first brew pub, Montana Brewing Company, is celebrating 25 years of good beer and good times tonight.
Q2's Mitch Laggy takes a look at how craft beer has shaped Billings of the last quarter century.
Beer, a Montana tradition for generations. But the local craft brewing business kind of fell off in the 1960s and 70s. The Montana Brewing Company was one of the first to bring back locally brewed beer to Montana in 1994.
They kind of went away for a while, and then they came back. So this is about the third brewery that was started up, and now we're getting close to 100, I think.
25 years and 1.1 million pints sold. Montana Brewing Company owner Sean Graves says the proliferation of breweries came from people being tired of the newly introduced light beer in the 1980s.
They just came out with light beer like in the late 80s, and that was just like the huge trend, and people really enjoyed that, but they were looking for something different.
Now, the microbrewery revolution really took off in the late 1990s and mid-2000s. As things got rolling, more and more breweries started popping up across the country, and especially here in Billings, particularly in downtown. I'm standing outside of Last Chance Cider Mill right now, one of the relatively new additions to Visit Billings' Walking Brewery Tour map.
And we thought, what better way to market drinking beer than market it safely, where people can walk from one brewery to the next. It's been really awesome. We continually get requests from journalists and bloggers and vloggers to come here and shoot our brewery district. And so it really has become a really prized thing for us to promote.
In addition to bringing in tourism and recognition, the Billings breweries were a big part of revitalizing downtown into what we see it as today.
Well, I used to remember looking out the windows, and across the street where Doc Harper's is, those windows were boarded up for about 5 years. You know, and it was just, when they started revitalizing this block and making things back, and now you can see like all this walking traffic going by us right now, it's like, that's what makes it really special, because it's just the growth and the growth and the growth, and that's what people want to see in their downtowns.
The 8 breweries in Billings have also become their own social hubs, a place to grab a drink and socialize with friends after work. And Billings has the population to support different breweries with different specialties. Here's to the next 25 years. Cheers, Billings. I'm Mitch Laggy, reporting for MTN News.
Thanks, Mitch. Well, still to come on the Q2 10 o'clock news, hundreds of farmers converge on Great Falls for one of the state's largest ag conventions. We'll check it out.
And in sports, Scott has a quick guide on who to watch when your National Rodeo Finals opens. That's coming up tomorrow in Las Vegas.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.